Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted is a wildly entertaining and fittingly unconventional documentary about a convention-defying singer, songwriter, and record producer Jerry Williams, also known as Swamp Dogg, one of the great cult figures of 20th century American music whose singular voice and ideas have shaped the history of not merely soul music, but country, hip-hop, and a dozen other genres. Boy, that is true in so many different ways in this film. Again, it's called Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. We're joined today by one of the co-directors, Isaac Gale, along with Ryan Olson and many other people helped put this film together. But we're here with Isaac Gale, and Ryan Olson is in our thoughts.
Sure. Yeah. He'll be happy to hear that.
Isaac, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your work on Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. Tell me a little bit about how all this unfolded.
Sure. Oh, thanks for having me. The whole project started through a musical collaboration between Swamp Dogg and Ryan Olson. Ryan's a musician slash music producer. Ryan and myself make music together here in Minneapolis. I had heard Ryan putting this album together for, I think, a couple of years that eventually became Love, Loss, and Autotune, which came out in 2018, Swamp Dogg album. And it was such amazing music, and I knew nothing about Swamp Dogg, but Ryan was like, you should come make a music video. We'll go out to Swamp Dogg's house and we'll just make the music video there. We'll see what goes on. And so we brought David McMurray in to shoot it, and just sort of fell in love with Swamp Dogg and his crew and the whole house, and left that project thinking like, man, we got to just keep shooting with these guys. They're just so cool. So yeah, it just kind of started really organically through just making music.
It's easy to see why that happened. It's easy to see why that vibe came from Ryan's work with Swamp Dogg, because from the get-go, there couldn't be a more chill, life is what it is kind of persona that Jerry Williams, known as Swamp Dogg, puts out. He's just a wonderful person to be around.
Yeah, that's exactly what we thought. And we were like, how do we get this, same feeling in a film project? Like, they're just so welcoming. They're immediately just sort of casual, and they weren't sort of distracted by having a couple little cameras around. They just kept being themselves. So we kept shooting. Yeah.
Well, when you said that to Swamp Dogg, when you went to him and said, you know what, we want to stay, we want to hang around, we want to document your life, what was his reaction? What was his initial reaction?
I mean, he was into it, and I think other people have made some other projects with him, none that were like he was the sole focus. So I think there was a part of him that was like, yeah, finally, a lot of people have been feeling around trying to do it, and none of them have finished the project. So yeah, but because we had become friends with him, and we're just sort of like hanging around, like I don't think it was everything just kind of came together really naturally. It was a passion project for us, so like everything was self-funded for the first few years, where if we had a reason to make some music or a reason to go out to LA, we'd stop by Swamp's house and hope that David could come and we could shoot, or we could find an audio person. Or while we were shooting that music video, one of our first shots in the first shot in the film is Swamp sitting at the edge of the swimming pool, and that's from that music video shoot. And he kept asking us, including our friend Jesse, who became the pool painter, he kept asking if we knew anyone who would paint pools. And Jesse was like, I think I could, so we set it up, and that became our first sort of shoot for the film in the summer of 2018. We just were like, let's see what happens if we try to paint Swamp's pool.
It's a great title too.
Yeah, we thought of that like going to the airport. We're like, what if we just make a short movie called Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted? And then unbeknownst to us, it turns into a feature because he's got infinite amount of interesting, cool stories to tell.
He's known everybody. He's worked with so many different people. He has been, in some ways, through the ups and downs of the music industry and in his own life and all of the things that are compelling, he's done. And he's very open about it all.
Oh yeah, totally. Just like unbelievably open about stuff, and just everything he says is just like some hilarious insight into the situation that he was in that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Like I feel like most musicians, at least famous ones, are sort of protecting an image that they have about themselves, and he's just always navigating like what that is. You know, he says in the movie all the time, like he's just trying to find himself over and over again, inventing these characters and doing different genres of music and whatever. And I don't think you find a lot of musicians that are sort of that open about their careers like that.
Well, let's take a step back into his career
Sure.
when he was little Jerry Williams. And from the very beginning of him telling his story, he was a gifted writer, producer. He seemed to know that this was his calling from the beginning. Let's talk about those early days of Jerry Williams and how we get into that part of the story.
Sure. Yeah. He, you know, in our movie, we sort of are bouncing around throughout time. So it doesn't necessarily happen in order, but Swamp was raised by his aunts while his mom and father were out as touring musicians and entertainers on the Chitlin circuit on the East Coast. So Swamp was sort of raised around traveling musicians coming through his house all the time, you know, raised by a few of his aunts all in one house that just seemed to create the kind of environment that set him up as like a 15-year-old to record his first album or 7-inch record that got played on the radio in Virginia.
How fortunate is anyone to find out something that they want to do and are capable of getting really good at it at an age when you can really start to create and define yourself as a musician, which is what he did,
Mhm.
but to be that good at it.
Oh yeah, totally. And to have like the drive to just keep pushing every time you get knocked down. You know, all his stories are really there was a wild music scene going on back there, like people pretending to be famous musicians coming through and like he talks about the promoter that he would deal with would set up a show that was supposed to be BB King, but on the poster he would just say B King and someone would just like pretend to be this other guy because back then, you know, they weren't you didn't necessarily know what people looked like or, you know, I just find that all those old stories to be just like incredible. So having the like not only the talent and just sort of being born in the right spot to encounter that stuff,
Right.
but also just to have that thing inside you that just keeps pushing every time you get like punched in the face.
Let's name the promoter because I think he's probably long gone and nobody really will care. But
I'm not sure actually.
Leroy Little was the guy who was one of
Yeah,
those guys you hear about, right?
yeah. And we
That
found one
screws.
picture of him.
What's
Yeah.
you know, what? Let's go
There was
ahead.
one existing picture of him that we could find. Yeah.
Okay. And he's one of those guys that screws everybody he can along the way. I'm sorry, I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And not only does he screw the people who are coming to his shows, but he's screwing the artist involved, the people he actually has on stage. And Jerry Williams probably learned a huge lesson, probably very early in his career. He knew he had to be careful, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And like there's thousand Leroy Littles running all these clubs. I mean, they still kind of are out there. Like it's just kind of I don't know, it's what the music business seems to be based on.
Yeah, I mean, and especially in that period of time in American history, we're talking
Mhm.
the 1950s and 60s when not only was that an element, but also the fact that he was African American was probably another excuse to be able, or another way to be able to get away with it. So,
Mhm. For sure.
but thank God, Swamp Dogg, little Jerry Williams, had enough talent to stand up and basically say, I'm going to continue to do this.
Oh yeah. And like in he seems to just every story he tells, like maybe he wasn't enjoying it in the moment some of the time, but like he's got this like wry smile on his face at all times, remembering these crazy bonkers things that happened to him. Like he would go play people's proms and stuff, fancy parties, and like I mean, the story he tells in the movie is he got invited to play in Vermont, and they didn't know that he was black because
Right.
his songs at the time he was writing for white people like Frankie Valli within you know had them in mind. So he shows up to do a song, and they're just like, what are you doing here?" You know, and
Right.
that's just
God.
such an insane time to live.
Well, it's such a daunting thing to have to face for anyone, and particularly for someone who's good at what they do. They know they're good at it, and people are telling them that they're good at it. And then this, and then you show up and, oh, you're black? What do you, what? You know, and I can't imagine how soul crushing that is. I just can't even, I have no experience in this. And I just to see people who do what they do and then they persevere. My God, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think you just get that feeling from Swamp at all times. Like, no matter how bad the world is out there right now, like this guy's been through some serious stuff, like through his life. And I don't know, I can just, it's
Yeah.
inspiring to like how he's been able to just sort of like maintain over all these tumultuous, waves.
We're talking about the early part of his career, an accomplished songwriter. What is Jerry Williams Swamp Dogg's first brush with real success? I mean, he wrote for some songs for some people. Is that kind of where he began to feel like he was making a career out of this?
I think so. I mean, it sounds like in high school he put an album out that was on the radio, so he got popular. Kids knew his name. But yeah, I think he was touring around a lot and stumbling into writing gigs for other people. I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but he just got some
Yeah.
singles on the radio, and suddenly you start feeling like you're a superstar.
In terms of the style of music he was playing and writing for in his early part of his career, would it be safe to say it's kind of a rock and roll vibe, rhythm and blues? Is that kind of what he was?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. There's not a lot of recordings of that stuff still existing, but the couple that we've heard, I think I forget. Man, I'm blanking on the name of the song. But yeah, kind of a rhythm and blues rock and roll vibe.
All the music that we hear in the film is great. It really is. Once again, remind our listeners that the film is called Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted, and we're speaking with one of the co-directors, and that would be Isaac Gale. And the film is available. It was released through Magnolia Pictures. By the way, congrats on that's a wonderful distributor.
Thank you. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, they are, and they are known for the quality of the films that they release. So, if people are interested in finding out more about the film, can we direct them to a particular website?
I think if you go to magnolia.com/
Yeah,
Swamp Dog Film is the website.
yeah.
Yeah, and then we have an Instagram account too. If you can write the full word Swamp Dog Gets His Pool Painted, that's the name of that.
It's on Instagram.
All along. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's where we're posting stuff. But yeah, Magnolia, I think if you just go to the Magnolia site, it's up there at the top because we're
Yeah, it is. It
newer.
is. And they also even have production notes. You can kind of go through a lot of different information, but you can also see
Mhm.
how to watch the film. And the reason I really want people to seek this out because it's an endearing documentary. Even though you might not know who Swamp Dogg is, as you spend time with him and spend time with his friends, spend time with his roommates, all of these things come together beautifully. By the end of the film, you really do feel like you have gotten to know him and you've gotten at least as much, had gotten to know the kind of person he is, which
Sure.
really comes through in the film.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, we wanted to make a movie that, if you weren't a music head, if you didn't know who these guys were, it didn't matter because their lives are so interesting. They're such fun, wild guys to be around and just hang out with. So we want to make kind of a immersive Swamp Dog movie.
well, you did.
Thanks.
And, there's bits and pieces of his life sprinkled in here, the edges of stardom for many points in his career in his life. It was like he was right there. There was a period of time when he was much more recognized and recognizable, but he's one of those people that just continued to create to do what he does well. And I'm hoping with this film that there's a revisiting of his career, spending
Yeah.
more time with from people who really know what they're who can make it happen for him because he's certainly worthy of
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean,
But
like all sort of older musicians, a lot of their music is tied up in this weird world of licensing where various companies have it and navigating that stuff. Like we most of the movie we got, we managed to find money to license like all these songs from all these different napkin deals that he might have signed with someone. And it's a totally bonkers world for I think a lot of people that they don't control their catalogs anymore. So it's really hard to seek it all out like in one place, or anything like that. So hopefully that kind of stuff comes from this. Hopefully people seek out Swamp Dogg's records and get a few.
right. I was going to ask you about that because it does feel like a film that was really intensely difficult to be able to basically do that. Just what you described.
Yeah, we got some great music supervisors, Jessica Barrett and Chris Swanson from Secretly Group, and they were able to I don't know, they have access to some wild other libraries where they can find who, might have last had the license to a song.
Crazy
So,
stuff.
it was a really crazy process. We used, I forget how many music cues there are in the movie, but it's something like 70 plus, which is a lot. And a lot of them are just little background blips or little moments here and there. But it was really important to us to get the real Swamp Dogg music in there, as opposed to recreate it. Or a lot of movies you can't get their main song, so you figure out some other way. But this was really important to us to have the real material in the movie.
Yeah. I want to talk about he lives in the San Fernando Valley. I
Yep.
want to talk about his circle of people around him, certainly his roommates. Guitar Shorty is one of them, and also Moogstar,
Hmm.
who seems immensely talented
Hmm. Yeah.
and a musician, and so is Guitar Shorty in terms of his abilities. But
Yeah.
what a find, and what a person to kind of spend some time with here as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was sort of also the big draw of this project was like these three guys all live together in the same house and like playing bands together. Moogstar is a little bit younger, so he's sort of the caretaker of the place, but also running the studio. He's staying up all night producing and mixing with these guys. He's playing in their live bands. It was really an incredible scene they had going on. Like Guitar Shorty was playing, gigging up until, months before he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a reveal, a shame as well.
Spoiler
I
alert.
knew of him. I'd heard his name before. I mean, I know he was a very well regarded musician, but also another provides another insight into the world of Swamp Dogg in that the way he sort of dealt with it, the people around him dealt with it, says a lot about him, says a lot about the people in his life as well.
Mhm. Oh yeah, they all love each other. I mean, they all love Swamp. Guitar Shorty was a touring musician, touring all over the place, and he always had a place to come back and crash in at Swamp Dogg's house. He had a
Yeah.
bedroom. And
Yeah.
incredible to me. Like these guys got
Yeah.
stuff in
Yeah.
their 80s.
Yeah, and of course, Moogstar, who is, as I said, an immensely talented person in terms of the ability to play all kinds of instruments. We see in the film how talented he is,
Mhm.
and I have no idea where he is right now in his life, but I certainly hope he's doing well.
Yeah, I think so. We've been able to, we had a theatrical run with the film, and whenever Swamp and Moogstar can, they're invited, and they maybe sometimes play some music after. It's great. So like, I hope that, yeah, hopefully like they can continue doing some stuff like that. Like they're still out there
Yeah,
pushing it. They make crowds go nuts. It's great. It's so fun.
that creativity, that imagination just pours out of both of them.
Absolutely.
And you get the backstory, some backstory, not on, obviously on Swamp Dogg, but some on Moogstar in his life, and it's all again, it's very compelling. I'm so happy for
Yeah.
you. I'm so happy. This is a film that you watch and you think, life is worth pursuing. Follow your muse. Do what you want to do. It's all over in the blink of an eye. So, and
Oh yeah.
it seems like Swamp has done that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we wanted to make sure to just capture just sort of their joy of living, being musicians, being creative, having your group of family around, your friends. You said it. Like that's just all the stuff that I want. That's all the good stuff. Like I hope that this movie has all the good stuff,
It
and it
does.
does to
And
me.
he knows some cool people. Cool people know him.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
the 80th birthday party is kind of a good hang, if you will.
oh yeah, totally. We brought a ton of people in and then, didn't give them any, they're just in the background. But you see Yola Tango back there and Vernon Reed from Living Color. And there's so many Kurt Wagner from Lamb Chop. There's so many great,
Also,
amazing people at this party, and
Yeah,
we don't give them any shine.
Jeff Tweedy from,
Oh,
yeah.
Jeff Tweedy and Justin Vernon, yeah, they were playing a big festival in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. That's actually where I met Swamp Dogg for the first time.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, they brought him up. They were doing a John Prine tribute show, and that's where John Prine and Swamp Dogg met each other in person for the first time.
Wow.
Swamp had covered him, and they sent letters back and forth. But that shot of them on stage in the movie is the first time they genuinely met.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it also genuinely moving moment when they record Sam Stone
Oh, it's
and
an amazing version. Yeah. Hopefully that's something that isn't in the public yet, but now that it's in the movie, we're trying to get that released.
it's
We worked with
yeah,
Oh Boy John's label, and
yeah.
yeah, it'll come out. It's
It's
such a
beautiful. It's a
yeah.
beautiful rendition. It says a lot about both of them, their interpretation, their life lived, and
Mhm.
you see that come through in the film.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really special session. That was in 2019, so the year before John Prine passed away of COVID, I believe, in 2020. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. Thank you for you reminding me. Yeah, that is true.
yeah.
Isaac Gale, I want to thank you for this terrific documentary film.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, Swamp Dogg gets his pool painted. Again, that title just kind of feels like Swamp Dogg. It feels like everything about that vibe that you would get from basically watching someone else paint his pool, but what happens around it, that's the important stuff.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I also want to credit Ryan Olson and
Yeah,
as part of the directing team that
yeah,
put
and
this
David
together.
McMurray too. He's in there just as much. Yeah.
Well, I hope you're working on something else and moving forward when that's ready for the world. Certainly hope you'll come back and join us
Oh,
again.
please. Yeah. Thank you so much. Really
Thank
appreciate
Oh, you're very welcome. Again, the film is called Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. Why not? We're speaking one of the co-directors, Isaac Gale, and as I mentioned, Ryan Olson, and also David McMurray, part of the team. And seek it out. It's on Magnolia. You can go there, Magnolia Pictures, the distributor. Wonderful site. There's a ton of really great films, and this is certainly one of them. Thank you so much, Isaac.
Thanks.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.